Veteran leads are becoming the most prominent and consistent lead for all life insurance agents, whether you do final expense, mortgage protection, or IUL. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down one of our top clients and how he effectively is writing 40 to 50K a month, leveraging our vet leads. But specifically, I want to talk about how you as an agent can leverage veteran leads to make 40K, the differences between the lead types, and when you know to currently pivot to the next lead. My name is Trey. I'm the owner of Agent Lead Lab. We've been able to help 550 agents in the past 3.5 years, issue pay $40,000 per month and counting. And the purpose of this YouTube channel is really to kind of give you all education, background, knowledge on people we're working with, how it works and what it looks like. So that way you all can go out and duplicate that same success for yourself. So as always, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let's hop straight into the video. All right, perfect. So as mentioned, there's going to be a few things I'm going over today. All right. So it's about running the vet leads. Number one, we're going to talk about the difference between types of vets. Okay. You've got, life insurance versus benefits. Okay. There's pros and cons to both. All right. There's this calling effectively, right? Then it's going to be strategies for confidence, right? And that's lead demographic. I'll explain what that is. And then scaling an agency. Right? Should you do volume or higher intent? And then the future of vets and what I see. And I'm going to break all these things down. But if you want to know exactly who the person is I'm referring to, his name is Bryson. He's been working with us really not even for that long, but like popped out and just went crazy. But he has a very interesting story. It's a YouTube video with us. It's 45 minutes. So like we just hop right into it, honestly. Where I'm asking questions and getting a better understanding of like where he's at, what he's doing, the strategies. And if you do vet leads and you run our vet leads specifically, you should watch this video. But if you do any vet leads, I think this is like a blueprint for agents. I like to bring agents on who issue pay more than 40K for them to walk you through kind of what they're doing, where they've had success, what's worked, what hasn't worked, because you learn not from what I tell you, but you learn from the behaviors of your peers. And by peers, I just mean other agents. Like I don't actively sell life insurance. Obviously I sell, but it's different. Now I know what works and what doesn't work because I talk to my agents and agency owners all the time. So I have a feedback loop that's very spot on. And because I've also been an agent, I'm able to look at things very differently. And I think when it comes to you scaling your agency or being an agent and working with a company, you really want to narrow in like, who's at the forefront of the innovative ideas that are pushing the leads? Because without the leads, you don't get anything. Like we can sit here and talk about, this company and all these systems and everything. I recorded a video last night talking about the difference between systems and staff. But regardless of where you are at, you want to understand that you have to be with somebody who is at the front, who has been an agent, i.e. it runs an agency or has a good pulse on what's going on. I think that's why if you look at some of the top, lead marketing and lead vending companies that have been around, they're typically headed by agents or agencies because they have a pulse. And if they're doing right by it, they're actually able to gauge what's working, what's not working. The worst thing you can do is not get that feedback loop. That feedback loop is really what develops the confidence for you to be able to push out new and innovative leads and ideas. And you want to get around companies that are always staying ahead of the curve. Veteran leads have been around for almost 2.5 years, I guess you could say now. They're at the point now where they're becoming a commodity, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But the problem is because it's a niche within a niche, as I talked about in another video, that if too many people do it, it kind of distorts the leads. So you have to figure out a unique way to market to that industry. Okay. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about Bryson, but in a nutshell, you can go watch the video. The reason I'm not going to spend a lot of time today is because I want to touch on something that has come up frequently. And it's really the difference in the ideas of how these vet leads work. I think some people don't necessarily understand what veteran leads are. So let me just explain. Now there's niches within niches. So like the idea of vet leads was actually veteran final expense. Okay. And it was created to identify a specific demographic within final expense. So former veterans or veterans in general that need life insurance. And what they wanted to do was say, hey, we identified that serving this clientele, they tend to have, more money, whatever it is, in reference to traditional final expense. And while that's great, because of that, when somebody found out, everybody just quadrupled down. And so if you go to the ad library, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of veteran ads, but it boils down to really two different type of vet leads, and you should know what type of vet leads you're working or you're creating before you get started, and then also while you're dialing, because it determines how you frame and what you say. So I'm going to talk about the two difference. So number one, right, and this should space out. Okay, cool. So number one is really simple. All right, so it is the life insurance. Okay. Now, what I mean is veteran life insurance is like ads that are going to be a little bit more direct. They're going to say like, hey, you can get $50,000 of life insurance. You can get, $30,000 of life insurance. Veterans get life insurance. This is probably the most direct, but the issue is that typically the cost per lead is really high. And a lot of times, a lot of marketers don't love running that because it's super general. It has no like pain point or no direct thing. Now, as an agent, you would love to run that because let's just like, yeah, it is what it is. But then a lot of people can't afford to pay the premium of the leads. So the other one you have is what's called, benefits, veteran benefits. Okay. Now, depending on who you are, I run both of these depending on my client. The way you can also think about it is this more of like a volume, and you're going to hear me to get into this about which might be better. And this is more of like an intent, right? Or like premium, if you want to call it. So when you think about this, veteran benefits is more lenient towards the idea of saying, hey, you know what? We are going to get people who it sounds more like it's almost like how state regulated, right? Like there's this idea of like, okay, state regulated. It's not free, but it can sound free, and it gets confused, but you get really low costing leads. And if you get enough of them, you get a sale. So a lot of people that are really crushing it with veterans, they're typically doing the veteran benefits. And then I'll go into like scaling an agency and why that is. But you need to understand the difference between the two. They are very different. The way you call them is different, right? When you filled out this request for veteran life insurance, they're like, no, they hung up. Hey, you filled out this request for veteran benefit options. Oh yeah, they're open to have a conversation, right? You close them. Now, I'm not here to say whether or not that's right or wrong, depending on who you are and how you position it. Now, if you say you're with like, the VA and, you start using the government, like that's shady. But if you just leverage words and create something that sounds unique, you're not really doing anything shady, right? So you have to make sure that you're, you know what you're doing from a marketing standpoint, you stay compliant, but then also from a sales standpoint, you need to know how to approach these people. Because if you approach them wrong, you're SOL. So that's how I like to look at it. Now, the benefit of you being able to know which one is which is that when you call and dial the leads, you increase your conversion simply because you already know what the client saw. I always preach about this. The difference between an agent having success and not having success, if they just are not skilled, right, is that you can make a crazy difference if you just give that person what exactly the client saw. If you don't give a person a script and you're like, this is the ad, you will literally be in the best position ever, because the difference is if you tell them, hey, this is the script, and then they start becoming robotic, if the marketing changes and they can only do that, they don't know. But if people understand the concept, then you're just having conversation. Like you don't need, like scripts are only necessary, in my opinion, like intro script. When I say script, I don't mean like sales script. I mean like the intro to make sure they don't hang up on you is really only necessary when you don't know what the client saw. Because in marketing, right, your ads change all the time, right? If you have a script though, that's super concrete, and then you change something on the marketing, you're not gonna know. If you know, like the marketing's like, yo, we're running ads like this, you just gotta approach people with the right concepts. Hey, we're running ads for, like, so it'd be like me running ads for life insurance agents versus for agency owners. If I'm calling a life insurance agent ad, I'm like, hey, you were looking for high intent leads or more cost effective leads, whatever. If I'm running an ad for an agency, it's like, hey, you were looking to scale your agency. If I say the wrong thing to the wrong crowd, they're like, wait, what? Now, could I probably get away? Like, same thing. Could you get away with saying veteran benefits to the life insurance? Probably. Is that ideal? No. Same way you could probably get away with talking about leads to the agency owner. It's a byproduct, like, oh, veteran benefits, blah, blah, blah. That sounds about right. Like, cool. But in order to really have success and make sure that you're locked in, that's what you want to do. Now, most of the time, companies will give you the ads, will show you what they're doing, but sometimes they don't. So you should really make sure that you ask. That really goes into calling effectively, which I already kind of just went through. But that's more of the script. So calling effectively is in two parts. Okay, my bad. So part one is pretty simple. Part one is just the script itself. So script intro. Part two is tempo and frequency of dials. You're probably like, what does that mean? Okay, so how frequently are you calling clients, right? And then what is the tempo? So the tempo is like more or less what I like to call, like what other people call, I'm sorry, sense of urgency. So frequency could be, hey, I'm calling these leads back to back to back to back to back. Some people triple dial, some people only call one time. I like calling double dial or triple dialing. For leads, I like triple dialing. Call 3 times, let it ring. Call 3 times, let it ring. Call, let it ring all the way through. Super simple. Then tempo, right, is going to be how frequently do you call them throughout the day? So I call them in the morning, mid-morning, afternoon, late afternoon, evening. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 times in one day. If you do 3 calls, that's $15 a day. Like, okay, you're going to figure out if somebody wants to pick up or not. If you are that meticulous in your process. Most people aren't. When it comes to any leads, but especially vets and final expense, in my opinion, you have to be super meticulous in how you call. Because your goal, like you can work these people from morning to mid-afternoon. You don't really need to work them in the evening. They're not like, mortgage protection or IUL, where you need to call early in the morning and late in the afternoon and into the evening and, even late into the evening. Because a lot of these people are retired, Social Security, disability, like they're not busy for real. But in order to hit all aspects, because you'll have people in there that are late 50s, early 50s, like they may be working. So late afternoon. Now you do need to go late into the evening. Not all the time. If you want to crush it though, you will. So if you watch that video, Bryson breaks it down, he talks about his schedule, how frequently he calls them, that he'll get leads from different areas to dial later into the night. You got to be that insane about like what you're trying to do. I have a whole video where I talk about the mindset that's necessary to hit 40K, or really just talk about the secret. The secret is just your mind. It's just the way that you think through things. Most people look at things in the life insurance space through the wrong lens. They're like, oh, I can close people, make a lot of money. These people, I'm going to call them, I'm going to get these leads for. It's like it. This is what blows my mind. And this is about calling effectively. Because to me, if you just get the script intro and call effectively, you'll close more deals. Literally. Because at that time, it's just activity. It's activity and knowing what to say on the intro so you don't mess up and they give you an opportunity. The goal of life insurance leads, by the way, yes, is a closer who's just way better, gonna close more deals. But it's not like you're selling like high ticket or anything like that, where you really got to like dig into you do have to dig into the why, but the objections are pretty null and void because as long as you position the conversation right, you can close. That's why people can make so much. The problem is there's a huge gap between people who make a lot and people that don't, because the one thing that does determine is your mind. See, the difference with high ticket sales is I can give you like 50 leads, right? And you're going to have some laydowns and you'll make enough money to where it makes sense. The problem with the life insurance game is you got to invest in the leads so nobody's paying for them. You got to go out and sell, and you got to work the leads. So you got to call, you got to be a setter, you got to do all the things. When you're a closer, you just close. All you do is focus on your closing script. When you're a life insurance agent, you got to learn how to intro, pitch, book appointments, close appointments. How to structure properly structure the policy for the client. And the reason I'm saying all that is the mindset is everything. And the mindset is everything for calling effectively. It's like people get into vets for the wrong reason. You say, hey, I'm getting into veterans because I want to make more money overall, and I think it's going to be easier. It's like, no. It's not how it works, right? When we get into the strategies for confidence, we're going to talk about that in a second. Like the first thing, though, is that like, if you don't call effectively, no matter what lead type it is, you're cooked. It's not going to happen. If you don't think through things in the way that you should, which is I have to work these leads properly. I can't work these leads when I want. I can't make excuses. I'm going to do whatever it takes. Like I had a person hit us up the other day. Oh, I got a bad number. I put in my phone. It's an iPhone. Not a bad number, bro. Active iPhone number. Text message. Boop, says delivered. No, you just gonna have to figure out different ways to get to them. FaceTime audio, FaceTime video, continue to reach out to them, email them. It's like people just give up because they're like, oh, it rings to the voicemail. It's like, okay, a lot of people have that new thing where it's set up where it's like unknown callers, they don't let them come through. You're just gonna have to deal with that. And it was an OTP verified lead, etc. But like that, it's like that mindset. And then I have other people, and I recorded this as well, showing the difference between people's sheets and how they work. I have one agent, all he does is green and yellow his sheet. I have another agent, all he does is blue and red his sheet. It's like, do you think that the agent on the right who has yellow and green doesn't have bad numbers, doesn't have, it's like, yeah, but they don't, you don't frame yourself like that. You don't put that on your sheet because psychologically it kills you. And that's all mine though. Calling people and doing the frequency of dials, doing what's not easy, which is like nobody wants to dial all day. That's not, but like you have to dial all day to make enough money and post enough to get more recruits so you can then not have to dial all day and make passive income. But you're not just going to be like, yeah, man, I'm going to dial when I want. I'm going to make as much money as I want. And I'm not going to say what I need to say. And I'm not going to spend enough money on the leads. It's like you think through things wrong, and that's why you are where you are. And I'm not trying to be rude. It just is what it is. So it's like until you start framing things differently and you don't make excuses and you say, all right, this is just what I have to do, then there will be no difference. Just honestly, it will be no difference. Now, the strategies for confidence. I think that you knowing the leads from the beginning before you dial is super important. Like I talked to one of our partners yesterday. They're like, yeah, you know what? I don't think I could ever work leads. Right. And I'm like, vets, I'm sorry. And I was like, why? And they're like, that demographic just doesn't fit me. Like, I'm not the type of person to be super direct and like can deal with the level of confrontation and the like just sternness of that veterans typically have. That's cool. That works for some people though, because they want to talk to people that are just like, yo, shoot it to me straight. If you're that type of person, you got to be confident. You can't come in there and be like, oh, well, you know, the package is this. They're going to hang up on you. They don't want to hear that. They're going to hear, look, it's $30,000. Here's the package. Let's get this taken care of. There's no, like, the vets are just super straightforward people. So the objections are different. So you got to understand, learn how to battle the objections that are proper for the lead type that you're working, right? You think about mortgage protection. You got to know how to do his and hers. You got to know how to make sure that wife or that spouse gets on the call. You got to know how to handle, hey, you know what? I want to cover the whole mortgage. You work with veterans. Oh, what's the difference between this and what I'm getting from the VA? You got to know what the difference is so you can paint the picture for them. If you don't know, it doesn't matter. But that is confidence. You got to be confident when speaking to this demographic because they already are like, they know what life insurance is for the most part. This is not the, oh, wait, what is this? It's like, yeah, cool. I know what this is. Let's get into it. Like, what can you give me? They're just that. They are that people. If you don't want to deal with those type of people, this is not the lead type for you. And don't let people fool you into saying you need to run vets because of. That's not the best. There's not you should run this lead because of. You should run the lead not because, I'm sorry, because somebody else told you to. You should run the lead based off of what I explained before, which is like what demographic are you looking to do? Who are you looking to serve? And what type of leverage do you want to have? If you don't care about dialing and you're cool with just talking to older people and just ripping through policies, do your thing. If you value your time and you're like, hey, I don't want to dial all day, cool, but you have to get really good at selling and really good at booking appointments. If you want instant gratification, you know you're the type of person who's like, I need to just make sales effectively. Cool. This is the type of demographic that you need to work, okay? Now, next piece, scaling an agency, right? Should we do volume or intent? Now, what I've seen, okay? So best practices is volume. Now, you're probably asking, why? And it's because you can craft more opportunities and leverage pitches. Now, veteran benefits, it's like a 60% price difference between veteran benefits and veteran life insurance. And this is me even speaking to other companies like that do this as well. When you're doing vet leads, if you're doing veteran benefits versus veteran life insurance, the price difference is drastic because some people do think it's free, just being honest. But It would be like if I ran a final expense agency, what I would do is I would actually create it and probably do like state regulated and run volume that way. Because if I could get more leads in for a lower cost and the only thing I need to do is teach people how to sell, that's a controllable. It's uncontrollable that to a point that if I put an ad out this way, people only fill it out this much. But if I put an ad out this way, people fill it out this much. It's like, okay, would I rather take my chances of learning how to sell and creating scripts around, oh, this isn't free, etc., and just still pitching concepts? Because there's still people. They still want it. One person thinks it's free, the other person thinks doesn't think it's free or know that it costs something. There's still people. Now, when you're selling leads, like me, I can't really do the veteran benefits thing. Is like cool. We'll do like a veteran life insurance benefits, like a combo. That doesn't really always work because the problem is if the agent people aren't going to follow what you tell them to do. It doesn't matter. If I'm like, yo, you need to sell it like this, they're not going to do it. They're going to do their own thing. It happens all the time. I tell people what to do. They don't listen. Then they complain. That's just people in general. But specifically, if you're selling leads, you can't do that because then they're going to say your leads suck. So if I'm building an agency or if you're watching this and you're trying to figure out how to scale, I would scale with the company that does the veteran benefits because you can just create pitches around it. The most successful people in the life insurance space, when you really look at them, go back and peel back what they've really done. They found a lead type, whether they generated or they worked it. Once they nailed down that lead type, they started creating sales around that lead type. Then they just went all in on it. It's that simple. I can think about all the people. A lot of them I know, right? A guy that a lot of people don't know about. His name was Josh Williams. I guess everybody says they were the fastest person to get to $1 million a month. He did it very, very, very fast. But got to $1 million a month like this. I think it was like 6 months or something like that. And he didn't like run any ads. He wasn't like crazy heavy on social media in terms of like his own personal content, but he was DMing people every day. And he just like, he really, in my opinion, he changed the whole industry, like turned the industry upside down. He was doing virtual sales. Nobody was doing virtual sales. They were like bashing it. At least the company I was at, FFL, they were like absolutely crushing it. And then what they did is they went out and they had said that because he did that, people started hopping on because he grew his agency, and the rest is history. Now nobody really sells in person anymore. And that was a while ago. So if you go back and look him up, you'll see a lot of videos. But neither here nor there. One of the things that he did was when he switched to virtual, he made this whole virtual script. He came up with all these different things that people now use today, and they don't even know where they got that from. The whole lock-in thing people were talking about, that he started that, like all these different things. So, but that's what makes them successful. Like they don't do anything. I don't even want to say new. I guess you could say new. They're not really doing anything that's wild. They're taking a simple concept and applying it to their process. So the lock-in, for example, was just a matter of saying, well, how can we get agents up and running faster? If we're building a team virtually, we can fly everybody to one spot, teach everybody how to sell, get them really excited, get them their sales, teach them the behaviors. So it's like taking an office, but putting it in a location and then recruiting people while you're there. Then what that allows you to do is grow faster and faster and faster, because now you go to an area, you recruit a bunch of people, and boom. Now, I don't know what lock-ins have turned into now. They don't feel like they're that much anymore, but in a way, I guess they are. But the purpose of what I'm trying to say is, it's all about how you actually pitch what you're trying to sell to the client based on the marketing. And when you can do that, I would always prefer to do it with lower costing leads, right? Like that just makes sense. It's like, okay, if I can get leads for a quarter the price, then why would I not do that? If I told you it's about a 60% difference, it's like, why wouldn't I get those leads? I would just learn how to work them differently. Most people don't want to take the time to figure out how to do that. They just like, oh, I just want the highest intent, which I think is good. But if you're talking about scaling an agency, you don't always want the highest intent. You want to have a mixed combo. Maybe let the people at the top who are like, they got a big team and they don't have time, let them do the high intent. They're willing to pay $50 or whatever a lead, depending on what the lead is. But if it's like a new person, dude, get them the leads for $2, $3 and just let them crush those. It's like, in my opinion, that's the best way to do it. If you can get those, then there's really no reason you can't, can't have success. And that is why those individual agencies, they grow and they're super predictable because they have found that there's a simple blueprint that they just got to apply, right? And that is based off of like the wording and the tracks. But for vets, it's so dope. Like you could do the same thing for vets. You could really do it for every lead type. And in a perfect world, I think when I was an agent and I didn't know anything about marketing, I used to think like, man, I just need the highest intent leads. But as I've gotten older, and it's 5 years in the whole industry, 3.5 now, I'm about to be 4 running this agent lead lab. After everything I've seen, I actually think it's more effective to scale with volume because regardless of lead type, but definitely for vets, which we're talking about today, but really of all lead types, because volume begets luck. And the unfortunate thing about this industry is even if you're really good, if you only have 25 leads and you only close like 2, and then one of them charges back, you're cooked. But if I give you 100 leads or 200 leads for that same price of those 25, you probably can close like 5 or 6 or 7. If I teach you what to say, how to say it, and then you make more money, and then if you do get chargebacks, you're good. Plus, if you do the 25 approach, everybody can't afford to pay for that. So regardless of how you cut it, I think the benefit is that you just got to know that there's an immediate benefit to you being able to create a system around your sales skills. Most people think they need to create a system around the leads. And that's really where the issue friction kind of lies. Now, the future events, what I see, right, is that life insurance agents, vets has kind of opened the door to people really getting into niches. I think people have always wanted to do like, yeah, would it be cool to like target lawyers or doctors or whatever? But there are now people are trying to target specific niches, which is good. The kind of issue with that though, and it's honestly, and I say issue, I don't mean like in a bad way. I just mean the more we niche down, the less difficult it is to allow agents to scale. It goes back to what I said. Like, yes, you can scale, but if you scale and then you scale and then you scale and you scale and we're all doing the same thing, it will work, but you're kind of like creating your own competition. The cool thing about the 3 heads, mortgage, so homeowners, final expense, 40 to 85, and then investment, so annuity, I'm just calling that investment. I know that was not the proper legal term, so I'm not saying that it's investing, but you get the point, right? People that are trying to use life insurance for its tax-free benefits, let's say that. Those 3 categories, I apologize, will never run out. Not saying that vets will ever run out, or that truckers or that nursing leads or Christian leads will ever run out either. Definitely not Christian leads. But it's very, very, very important to recognize that the goal is to create duplication. That's the goal. And that's why if you pick one of those 3 heads, you can always duplicate infinitely. When you get into niches, if the niche completely doesn't work and that's all you built your agency on, or something happens or whatever, you got to pivot. Now, I see vets becoming a staple, veteran final expense becoming a staple in the community of life insurance lead generation, because I think it will broaden out enough to where it will become a commodity. People will hop on. People will hop on whatever the next thing is. So let's say it's doctors, doctor leads. I'm just making that up. They'll hop on that, and then people will move away from vets, and then vets will just kind of simmer out and become one of the subcategories of the 3. And then you'll have another category, etc., that kind of branches off. I see that that's where vets are going. I think that's where these niches are going. But it is a wave right now. So if you're doing it, this is the blueprint, right? It's super simple. Like, know the type of leads you're running, figure out what to say on the intro based on the leads that you're running, call them frequently enough, have the right tempo and the right frequency and dials. If you're gonna deal with vets, you need to be confident. If you're not a confident person, if you don't like confrontation as well, or you're not okay with people being super direct, this is not for you. Then, if you're gonna scale your agency, right, you should do it with volume. Not saying you can't do it intent, but just trust me, you should do it with volume because you could create scripts around that and you get more leads. And the purpose, a lot of people, is that you're trying to do something simple anyway. So, if in my opinion, or easier, in my opinion, then do the simple and easier thing and do the volume leads and just really create a process around it because you can. And then the future of vets, and what I see is just I see it scaling. I see it being there, but I do see eventually that it's going to even out with everything else, and the intent of the lead will probably get a lot better in the industry because so many people will kind of get off of it, and then it'll just move out, and then you'll be able to get back to marketing in the way it is, and that's kind of how the waves always go. So, a little bit of a shorter video today. I'm a little tired, as you can see with the yawn, but I'm going to do what I need to do regardless, because you just got to make it happen. And I said I was going to record these videos, so. As always, please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. I think the biggest thing that I want people to understand now is that if you're an agent or an agency owner, if you're an individual agent and you're looking for quality leads, we do offer them. You can go to our website, leadlabcrm.com. That's our sister company of Agent Lead Lab, or not sister, but like baby, if you want to call it. Focuses primarily on leads. If you're an agency owner who has a vet agency, final expense agency, mortgage protection, IUL, annuity, whatever, and you want somebody to come in and actually build a system and to give you a staff that will actually help it grow, you're doing anywhere between $150,000 to $200,000 plus per month as an agency. You have 2 to 3 writers that are doing 20 to 30K, and you're interested in partnering up. Would love to go through and kind of walk you through what it might look like to work with us. I'll keep it super simple. If you don't have at least $5,000 to invest, please do not book the call. Just don't want to waste your time. Don't waste mine or my team's time. As far as what you're going to be getting, it's really simple. We'll help you really grow and scale your agency. We'll come in, we'll staff you with team members. We'll move you in the right direction. But there's a ton of other things. So you'll have to book a call to figure out if it's a good fit. I'm not really, we used to run ads and do a bunch of other stuff to that traffic. Kind of stopped it. We got some clients from it and I liked it, but just prefer to do something a little bit different. So we are scaling just our lead offer, and we're just kind of handpicking the people that we think would be a good fit. Because it is a very hands-on process. We are going to get in the weeds of your business. We are not going to waste your time. We are going to build you something special. We're going to leverage all these strategies that I'm talking about, but we're going to leverage it specifically for you. So it's going to be very tailored and customized to make sure that we're putting you in the best position to succeed and creating the agency around you, helping you create that blueprint. We'll be just as involved as you are. We'll put our feet and hand in the plow to make sure that you continue to grow and scale. And we're interested in seeing if it's a good fit. If not, you don't want leads and you're not ready to partner, you don't have that. The last option is that if you are less than about 150, 200K and you want to see what it looks like to do more of our true partnership, so it's like our lead gen partnership model, we will allow you to come in complimentary of cost. And at that point, we will kind of walk you through, and you can book a call, or not book a call, I'm sorry. If you go to contact us, or even if you fill out a lead request and you just ask about, hey, what does the lead gen partnership look like? It's a little bit different. We'll basically help you and your agency grow. We'll give you all access to our team, but we will not charge you a retainer. And the difference with that is that you're not really going to have full access to us. You're just going to have access to the leads, and we'll have more of some high level strategy where we'll walk you through. And eventually, we're going to move into that agency package. So our goal is to kind of get you there. And then from there, you can become an Apex client. So that's essentially what our process is. If any of that sounds cool to you, cool. If not, transparently, I don't care, and I'm not trying to be rude. You just watch these videos and get what you can from it. But if you are one of those people, if you do fit that criteria, if you do feel like, hey, this might be a good fit, please go to the website. If not, just please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, drop a comment below. If there's certain things that you want to see, I'm going to keep recording this content for you guys and walking through different strategies that we're using for our clients. But if you do, once again, want to watch the interview, please go to agentleadlab.com/training. So just show you all the original thing. You just come here, trainings, right? Go to the interviews. It's the first interview, most recent one. And if you need help on specific training, we also have those in there as well. So I will talk to you guys soon. You all have a great day.